Now, I will tell you that ultimately I have come to this fundamental reality, and it infects everything that I do there, and that is this. Until you get a different Senate and President, almost nothing that you want done is going to happen. Now, I know there's an extreme view that you should just shut down everything. I can tell you, if we do that, you will have Speaker Pelosi back. I'll just tell you, conservatives are important, but independents are important too. And they are the ones that send elections one way or the other. And I just tell you that we've got to govern and not just oppose. And I am absolutely for repealing Obamacare and Dodd-Frank and a bunch of other stuff today. But what I tell folks is this book, Constitution, everybody loves to talk about, it's a lot different than the way the British run their show. In Britain, if you win an election like we did in November, you control everything. And whatever the Prime Minister wants, his majority will rubber stamp it. Period. It's not what we've got. I know compromise is a dirty word, but the founders said, we're not going to give the House a lot of power. We're going to give you a part of it. We're going to give the President a part of it. We're going to give the Senate a part of it. Unless you all agree, nothing happens. That's what they did. I didn't do that. They did it. And they did it because they didn't trust government. They wanted to make it hard to do stuff. Well, here's what happened. You had a Democrat White House, liberal, let's just say that this way, a liberal White House, a liberal Senate, and a liberal House. That means they all were going in the same direction. And what did we get? Dodd-Frank, healthcare bill, more regulations, you name it. Well, then what did we do in November? We elected a break, is really what we did, a break. Enough to slow things down or stop things, but not enough to redo everything. And that's the fundamental reality that we find ourselves in. Let me ask you this. How many votes do you think I've cast already in Washington? Any guesses?
52.
50. Anybody else? 500. I have voted 500, more than 500 times already. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you there's a lot more going on than maybe you think, and maybe the press is telling you about. And you know what? It tells you too that a lot of stuff is dying. It passes the House, and dies. We've passed energy legislation. We've passed a budget, Paul Ryan-based budget. We have done regulatory stuff, patent, you name it. We have passed all kinds of stuff. And very few of it ever sees the light of day. So getting back to your question, if I could push a magic button, I'd repeal Obamacare yesterday. But I can't. And I'll just tell you, the reality is that elections have consequences. And we elected this guy president. I didn't vote for him, but some people did. And as a result, if he's in the White House, you are not going to see fundamental change in this country. It's not going to happen. Now, I hear all the arguments. Well, don't do this, don't do that. I'm telling you, if you want to see the American people throw us out just as quickly as we got there, continue, I'll just tell you, shut down the government. I know that's a lot of people's answer. Shut down the government. I'm just telling you, that is a short-sighted approach to a long, long war. And look, we all came in guns a-blazing. And what we quickly found out, all we have to do is read the Constitution, but what we quickly found out is that what's in the Constitution is actually how it works. We can't make, particularly in a Senate where you got to have 60 votes, we can't make them do anything. And there is no one on earth more frustrated than I am. Look, I voted for the debt thing. And I know a lot of people feel the other way, although liberals hate it. They think they got the worst part of the deal. I believe they did. Our side thinks it's not big enough. I agree it's not big enough. But here's the choice I have. Take a chance to see what happens 2, 3, 4 days after August 2nd when we have no deal. Take a chance. See what the markets will do. See what the interest rates will do. See how many jobs will. Let's just take a chance on it, or get the best agreement we could. And I thought the latter was better because I didn't know what was going to happen on the other side of August 2nd. Maybe nothing, but maybe a lot. And I can tell you this: I didn't want to have those people's jobs on my hands. And I'll tell you the other thing that really, really convinced me on this debt deal. And you didn't ask about it, but I'll tell it anyway. We started looking at the numbers. We met, our caucus met with the Moody's folks and the S&P folks and all the experts. And here's what we're faced with. You might get downgraded if you cut a deal. You definitely get downgraded if you don't. And everybody would say to me, well, we're going to get downgraded either way. No, 2 of the 3 have already come out and kept us the same. We're still waiting on Fitch, I think. Why is that relevant? Because we pay $200 billion a year in interest on the debt at almost 0 interest rate. If you barely raise our interest rate, every savings we've dreamed of in our house budget, which is never going to pass, and everything else is erased. It's erased like that by a mere raising of an interest rate. And so I considered all that, and Alan West, a Tea Party favorite, he voted for it. The majority of the Tea Party caucus voted for it. Not because they're people are calling me a traitor, they're calling me, everything but Satan. That doesn't make sense to me. I cast 499 votes, and I'm your friend, and on the 500th vote I'm a traitor. That's not reasonable. So it was a tough deal, but it is, and it's not a great one. You want a great one? We got to have a different president. You got to have a different Senate.